Beloved, this is the Culture and Camaraderie podcast with Damilare and Tyler.
Lax era.
Don't know. NY typical. I think saying my name like that is better than just saying NYTYPICAL.
Yeah.
Just for emphasis. Catchy. Yeah, NY typical. But it's like, I'm not from New York, am I? Like, because whenever I say NY, I feel like I'm saying New York.
Don't want to get caught slipping on road, you know?
You know, I should be saying like what? BR? BK?
Yeah. BK?
Yeah, broccoli.
Huh?
You know? Anyway, what are you saying? Well, actually, should we address the happenings that's been happening to us?
What?
Should we just address like what has actually been going on, like what's on our minds right now, fam?
Oh, what the technical,
everything,
the T's
fam.
and D's.
Yeah,
man,
from last week to this week, I feel like you know it's just gonna be fun. Just adjust it. I like adjusting shit.
Okay, yeah, no, it's cool. Like, it's you know, it's not even that. It wasn't as bad as last week anyway. But yeah, one of the mics is broken, so everything was ready, raring to go, and I've just found out one of the mics is broken. So, yeah. There we go. You just got to work with what you got. So we're still using.
Yeah, we're using two different systems, and we're gonna have to pair them up afterwards.
One of Dammy's.
So, if you're not hearing exactly crystal clear audio clarity,
we're working towards it. We vow by the 10th to get the 10th episode to get that. To get that.
The 10th.
Yeah, the 10th episode, isn't it?
Oh,
that's the hallmark. Not only is it your birthday, but it will be.
All right,
double digits.
Yeah, fam.
Gonna have a whole new podcast, but for now, I think this has just been sort of a process of us getting to understand like the podcast format and just the process and how it's best for us to do it with what we've got at the moment.
Yeah,
just figuring stuff out. So yeah, bear with us. The quality will increase. I hope it's increasing every episode anyway.
Me personally, I love the process. Like, obviously, there are times in which I can get emotional, but that has nothing to do with like stuff like this. It's only to do with like when I'm dealing with other humans. But when it comes to stuff like this, I love the process. Whether it's like the worst in the beginning, like, you know, to me it's just one of them ones where it can only get better. We can only like increase in quality, and I just enjoy it. And in doing the best you can, while knowing that you're doing the best you can, like given every single circumstance, it's just.
At the end of the day, you don't know what anything takes until you've done it, and you've gone through it, and learnt how you can sort of adapt it into what you're doing. But we're getting there, bit by bit, slowly by slowly.
I have a system.
You have a system?
I have a system.
A system of what? Of getting used to things?
I have a system of this. Okay. Yeah, this.
Oh,
this
we have a system, but the system is never gonna. There's always. Not that there's always, but for example, the way the system is at the moment, we haven't accounted for every single little thing. But hey, that's anyway. I think we're going so much longer on this than it is, because that's gonna figure itself out as it does. Well,
I don't know. This is a podcast. We need content.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? Have we?
What do you mean? I feel like I've accounted. I don't know.
Well, did you account for the mic breaking?
Yeah. How? That's why there's another mic right now. That's why we're using two different mics.
But it's not the highest quality one, is it?
What?
It's not the same quality as that.
So
you haven't accounted for the quality?
I have well, actually. This mic is quality. It's just that it picks up you at the same time, which just means that it's a great audio picker-upper. So you've got a system of perspective. Okay, that's fair enough. At least you've got that accounted for. But a system of perspective. This is a system.
No, it is a system.
I have a system.
But it's not the optimized system.
Producer.
Yeah, it's not the optimized system.
Well,
is it?
I don't know.
So it's getting to that. It becomes that.
The variables will always be variables. Like in 100 episodes, a microphone can break down as well. Like it's still a variable, but the system hasn't changed since the first episode at all.
Well, it hasn't, but it's getting. But yeah, but the system's gonna get better. You got a starting system, but the system gets better. Does it not? Am I lying there?
Pardon?
Is that a stretch that the system gets better?
No.
That's it. So.
No, I mean like the system isn't gonna get. It's staying the same. It stays the same. Oh wait, I don't think. Have I? Never mind. You know what?
We can continue the topic. We can continue talking about this. I don't mind.
No, it's
content, isn't it?
Nah. To be honest with you, I like when I like me not needing to say things and me just existing sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like, you know, it's just not worth it.
It's less content for the podcast, but it's fair enough.
No.
Next topic.
Yeah, wherever you want to start. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, what you been up to? What you seen? What things have you
me personally
been plugged into?
Funny thing is, I haven't really been that. This has been one of the most distressing weeks. And then like the only thing that actually goes well, because I'm really good at it, is my work. Like that's the only thing that goes well, but everything else can sometimes just be up in the air. And that's just like, it's not my favorite type of thing, because I excel just so like highly in work that knowing that sometimes other things can fall apart is just terrible, man. I'm not even gonna lie. So, and then so I haven't really been thinking about topics for the podcast, let's say, or even topics for my website. Like, even though I did do all the work that I was supposed to do this week, it's just one of them ones where it's like, when other things are moving, then it's just I just like to focus on that and like get everything in a right order. Because obviously in the beginning of the week we had the mishap with the previous podcast, so I was thinking about that all the way up until Thursday, and then I was just thinking about execution, and then I was thinking about what my level of execution, and understanding that not everyone's going to be on my level of execution, and having to come to terms with that, and then seeing if I can project my level of execution onto someone else, and then just finding out the system of the steps. Yeah.
And what? So what was it that happened that made you feel like this?
What do you mean?
Well, because this was like a specific thing, unless you don't want to talk about it.
What happened?
Yeah.
What happened last? Actually, no, because it was like the podcast drop, and then we were supposed to do a second podcast on Wednesday, and then we didn't do the second podcast, and I was just like.
So why didn't you just say that?
And I was just like, no, because it's not just the second. It's about everything. Because I've also got a protege that I'm working with as well, and like other mentees. So it's like, because actually it was a conversation with someone that I was just texting, Trinae. He, like, shout out to you, because I know you're gonna be listening to this. He was just asking me on Sunday about execution. Well, actually, he wasn't asking me. He was like, I was talking to him about that, and then and then and then that just kind of was the start of the whole week. So I was just wondering, like, what's execution with a girl you'd be talking to, and then like the right level of execution with your family members, and that just dealing with all of these type of things, and then because. We decided to, when did we decide? We decided to do the second podcast on Wednesday. right? And then we both had stuff going on, but it happened that we just didn't do it. And I was like, well, that's okay, because we're always going to have the Saturday one, innit? And yeah, so I've just been thinking, like, because this just been like an ongoing conversation in my mind. Because even with just the understanding of everything that has been going on this past 6 months, my execution hasn't changed. It's only rolled. Like, it hasn't forward. It's rolls. Like, I've only got better. Well, my work has just increased. My work rate has increased. Like, I only add stuff to my plate, and adding stuff to my plate seems easy to me, whereas it's not easy for everybody else. So yeah.
That's fair enough. Yeah, no, for me this was obviously we wanted to do another podcast, but where I was doing this job, it's a thing where I've been doing it every single day. So yeah, it was just something where it's been sort of taken over my life a little bit, and it's just to be realistic, I was just wanted to get that done. Yeah, it was unfortunate. I would have liked to done an extra little episode, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna get that out of the way.
No, but like, how was your week in general?
How was my week? My last week, it was it's the past couple of months has been quite intense. But yeah, I've been getting to deal with it. Just getting that work done.
Go and explain it then, because this is also to do with execution.
Yeah, no, it's cool. No, it's
so yeah,
it's just been an everyday thing. Like as we spoke about with how much I was got for this job, I should have got more than I asked for.
Has it been? No, like just in terms of the execution.
Oh, in terms
just
of
like
execution.
So like has it raised your level? Have you been doing more? Have you been hitting your targets? Like, what all of the
this is the thing.
of it?
I haven't been. I have like my problem is like I know I can work hard. Like I can. That's not a problem for me. Like I can work hard. I can put a lot of effort in, and I know I can. Like, that's not a problem for me. But I know my problem is being able to. How can I say, prioritize certain things. So say if like I'm in the process, like with this job that I've been doing recently, I've got where it's me and this person doing the whole production, one person having to do this whole production in a certain amount of time. There's certain moments where I'm having to do a whole stack of things, and the people that I work with don't necessarily have a in-depth understanding of the timeline of a production. So trying to explain what's going on with them, and then trying to deliver work to a certain standard at a certain time, it's a bit mad. But also I know myself, I could be more organized, not just organized, more assertive with how I'm like, this is gonna take, because I hadn't done a video like this before. So for me, it was a lot of figuring out of where I'm having to do not just backgrounds, I'm having to do the storyboards and the character designs, and help make the assets as well with this animator. It was actually quite a lot of work, and not even that I underestimated it. I knew it was going to be a lot, but I didn't know exactly what it's going to take. So my confidence in being able to say, oh, this is what I've got to do, this is how long it's going to take. And I knew it was going to take a while. And even before the production, I kind of did warn, like, we're probably going to need more people. Okay. And a bit more time.
Wait, you warned it, or
I did?
It was one of those things where you said that it had to be.
Well, that's what I should have done more so. But it was weird because beforehand, it was kind of like we got where I didn't know. I was like, yeah, it's going to be. And I was saying we probably need a bit more time. 6 weeks is a bit short. It's like this, that, and the other. I didn't have the confidence to say, oh, this is what it's like.
Oh, this is a different conversation. Okay.
This is
interesting.
This is what it's going to be like. Da, da, da.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
I got questions now.
Yeah, and it's cool because now I understand.
I had no idea the podcast was going to start like this, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, you never do. That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Okay.
And
Yeah, that was okay.
with now, I feel like, okay, I know exactly how long something like this is gonna take. I know, and I know what I should have done has been just a bit more assertive on it. But yeah, it like at the end of the day, it was a juicy project. At the time, I was like, I'm freelancing. Oh yeah, and I got a new job apparently.
Apparently.
So yeah.
What do you mean, like a 9 to 5 job?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been.
Well, where to?
It's like it's a contract where I'll be doing digital work. It's for like it's for this talent management company. So I'll be doing all the digital editing stuff, etc., etc. Which is kind of cool. But yeah, at least then I'll stick to my plan of getting out of my current abode.
Yeah.
And just sort of setting up for the next moment of time.
Things come at the right time, it seems. Like wait, go back again.
You've got questions. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, just to wrap that sort of section up.
Wait.
Just to wrap that section up,
What were you saying? Like, cause
I'll just wrap it up with that job. I know.
Okay, yeah, this was my
now.
question.
Oh yeah, go on.
All right, so like as a project manager, there are certain lists that you write, and then like you do analysis and charts and shit. Like, did you do those charts?
I didn't do the charts, but I broke it down. I had a timeline, a rough timeline of what I thought it would take and would happen. Again, it's like you can write the things down of how you think it should go or be prepared for certain things. But because I just didn't know like I roughly knew what it was going to take, but I didn't account for absolutely everything.
Like you know when you got like
just from aside from the work anyway.
Like what people call a deadline, I call a due date for obvious reasons. But it's like you don't ever need to stick to that due date.
No, of course, 100%, yeah.
Like me, if I have to go beyond that due date, I will. Like my book cover was supposed to release in July, but I just scrapped that old book cover and I'm making a new one. Obviously no one knew that until like I just said it right now, but it's still in the process of coming out. And not just that, I've condensed it and reformatted the whole production around the launch into a project, like an actual project, and it's turning into a case study. So like that was going to be my other question. Are you like doing a case study for this one particular project? Have you asked them, can you do a case study?
No, that's not even something I've...
Okay.
No.
So like because there's things that I do particularly, and the reason why I don't take jobs this year.
And you'll do this prior to it or after it?
If I know that I'm not getting my money's worth, then there are other things that I have to demand. There are quality things that I would demand of them. Because with me, like I've been saying these past podcasts, it's like it's not a money exchange. Like I can barter. It's about the quality and the experience. Like I know a lot of people don't like you saying that they want to do learning experience, but there's an experience there, and there's just lumping everything together and creating something worthwhile so that you can pass it on to your next project. Because obviously, like with just there's certain levels where certain projects won't even come out for like a year and all of these things. So you've got to be able to say stuff like I know this project isn't coming out for the next 9 months. Like you've got your own timeline, but with my timeline, I'm going to need to be able to use this for another job that I've got coming in 3 months from now or 2 months from now. Like I need to use some of these assets and like structuring it, because there's a specific way that you structure certain things for presentation wise, and like this is also other tidbits that like I'm writing about. Like next year it's all gonna unfurl like into the thing like where because this is all part of like what I was saying, like the system of execution and teaching that I've been construction. So it's not just the execution, but it's like there's a planning process and project management and system analysis and production and all of these other things that come into play. Because when, like, if I'm in your position, let's say, I'm not even thinking about the projects right now. Like, okay, you want this video and you're giving me this. Okay, so that is not the exchange that you're asking for. That is never whatever they're asking of you is not the exchange. And whatever they're offering you is never the exchange. And in my eyes, it's never going to be enough. Because when you're in a project and it's absorbing your life and you're putting your all into it, then you're going to be like, is this money even worth it? And then you're going to be asking all of those questions. So I've got to think as a business person and say, yeah, I'm going to need this for that, and then start putting all of these other pieces in play and creating the right structure. Because
So you think of it more in terms of how you're going to use it for your portfolio and other parts of like your body of work.
I'm thinking of how I'm going to like it's not really about a portfolio, it's about how this thing is gonna be a platform or even a layer of sedimentary rock to
work in the future.
Yeah, because like it's just for visibility, because not every video is gonna win an award.
Oh yeah, no, but that's why I said like your body of work, like your overall body of work as someone who's
so you need to afford like it's one of those things. It's not even for other people to see. It's for myself to see. It's for if I know I've got all of these things riding on it, then I'm gonna put that tiny like little bit more quality into the work, like that might otherwise not be there if it was just a money exchange. Because as well as artists think that money is everything nowadays, it's like at the end of the day, if you're a real artist, you're not working for money, you're working for the ability to create. And when you discover that, you actually open your mind up for totally different avenues of understanding and conceptualization of just working in this world. And that was the introduction to my
go on to like why I actually took this role that's come. I think it's definitely for that purpose, because I noticed even though like this past like 6 months I have been just working for myself, because of that lack of structure in some ways, I've just been actually only doing this kind of freelance work, and I haven't, even though I've had a bit more time to sort of like just sort of do my own thing in some ways, I've always had that stress of doing someone else's work still without the structure. So
you're even still calling it freelance work.
Yeah, there we go, exactly.
Like it's not freelance work at all. Like it's totally like there's a totally different mindset of even understanding. Freelance work is when you're 20, you're trying to get money for drinks on the weekend, and you want to do something quickly for either a club or one of your friends that's starting a t-shirt brand. It's got nothing to like. That's totally different. Or if you're in uni and you're doing side projects, that's freelancing. When you're in this world and we're talking about real money and we're talking about real projects and we're talking about, oh, my name's gonna be on this. Like this is even funny because I said it in the beginning, I was like, this is a production. This is a system. Like in my mind, the system hasn't changed. And when there's elements added, because I'm already in the mindset of, okay, we're not even in this physical space anymore. What does the podcast look like in other realms? It's not even in like the way I'm, because right now you guys can't see us, but I'm sitting on my bed and Tyler's sitting on a chair. Like, this podcast is just audio right now. I've already got the visual in my mind done, and the translating of the audio into different platforms from on all types of social channels. And that's not promotion to me. That is the scope of project, which is a term in project management. It's understanding what is actually going on, like across the board, and just creating a variable system analysis for everything that's going on. So me, I've already accounted for, okay, microphones can break, people can be late, or what if we're only using one microphone? Like, what if this microphone breaks? So how are we going to do that? How are we going to act? How are we physically going to be placed once it's in visual format? How am I going to edit those videos? Like, all of those things have already been like accounted for in my mind. So like, when we talk about putting your name on something, it's like, in the beginning, all of these things have already been accounted for prior. Like, me, I already know the type of project that I'm going to be working on at the end of the year. Like, after Prime Night, it's going to be a different world. Like, and then, and even during Prime Night, it's going to be a different world. But
so what have you got the next like couple of years planned? Like, solid?
Yeah, like literally, I'm living in 2021. Like as I said, like last week, time is performative. It's not a real thing. It's only like when you're dealing with actual, like, because I know what I can do, and this is what I was talking about. It's like, what's my execution? And it's like, okay, if I'm gonna ever be working with someone, because I had to, let me backtrack a little bit. I had to get to the space where I was comfortable doing everything by myself. And, you know, like we were talking, because it wasn't even just the second podcast. It wasn't even about that. It was about the interface, wasn't it? It wasn't about us even like not doing the second podcast. It was like, the interface is broken. How are we going to get a new one? And it was like, okay, so, and then my mind was just like doing these type of gymnastics, trying to figure out, okay, all of these other things that had to be accounted for if you came here without an interface. So it's like, I've really like those, because I spoke to you about this before, where I run simulations in my mind, like, and that's like all I do, because I'm bored. A lot of the time I'm just bored, and I'm just running simulations. I'm running different conversations. I'm like a lot of people, like, just to give an example, a lot of people will have conversations or arguments in their mind before they have the argument, right? Extrapolate that, and then start thinking about the way that you've planned your life, and then do it across the board, and then listen, like properly listen. It's like, with my philosophy, my understanding of my codes, my understanding of what I actually want to achieve and execute, like, there's a finite number of things that I know that will go on during this podcast. It's finite. There's not like, this isn't an infinite system variable analysis. This is a track variable analysis, whereby there's just certain avenues. Like, I already accounted for other people coming. That's accounted for. I've already accounted for us being even in separate places and how that's going to be executed. So it's like checking and being at the right place at the right time, and creating all of these other things that need to be in place before anything else. Like, before the podcast even started, I had to think properly about, just, can 100 be achieved by me? Because and then when I asked myself the question, I was like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, but me, I know what I can do, but what is the like, and then I had to account for what you can do, and then that's when we had those conversations, and during the first episode, like not on the first episode, but around the first episode, like before and after the first episode, and then so yeah, like back to the original point was I had to be comfortable with I have to do everything by myself. I have to write my book, format my book, publish my book, do all of these self things by myself, and then be an individual, let's say, or and then I had to, and then because this is the weird thing about this week, yeah, I was just so, oh man, I was like, I forgot exactly what I was thinking to myself, but it was just a weird place in my mind where I was like, I have to be okay with me not just working with other people. I have to be properly okay. Like if I want to be myself, I have to understand that I might just be alone in this whole thing.
I don't know. I also don't entirely agree with that, because as you
Wait,
get
you don't agree with my understanding of my perspective of life?
No, because I don't think it's about not, because I've questioned the same things as well. It's like I've had periods of time. This is just my opinion. Like I am kind of disagree with your way of life, because this is just my opinion, just from my experience of having to be isolated and work on things myself, and ideas that I've created as well. Is that like my point is that that's not an all-encompassing statement, because at the end of the day, no matter what, as you progress and get higher up and you want to make things of high quality and have a wider reach with the things that you do make, you are going to need to inevitably work with people, and it's about having the sort of not just the internal management, but the management of relationships with people. And it's like you're saying, when you understand some people aren't you, or you aren't some people, it's more about managing that, as opposed to like, oh, I need to be willing to do that on myself. Yeah, I understand you need to have the responsibility for yourself to be able to you need to have the responsibility of everything that you're involved in. So you don't necessarily see, oh, that's not my responsibility. But I don't think it's about saying,
I think you're thinking too far ahead, because that is way too in the future for me to even start analyzing. When I'm working with other people, then that will come into play. But I'm not working with other people right now. Like there's my family, my G's, and that's pretty much it. Like there's a very small number of people that are around me, and there's a very small number of people right now that I can even partner with.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny pool. So it's not even so what, like you're talking about a different stage whereby I'll be responsible for people's pay or something. Like this, like there's not a stage where I'm thinking about partnering with people that don't exactly understand where I'm coming from. Like, because this was what was happening last week in that conversation at the beginning of the podcast. It was like, I don't understand why people are so weird and crazy. Like that's like the thing that's been going on for like the past couple of podcasts as well, that I've just been like, what is up with certain people? And then I had to be like, okay, if I'm not going to play the game, I have to be okay with me just looking like an outsider, because at the end of the day, it's a majority of people that think the same way. Mm-hmm. So I'm like just the outsider, and this is funny because... But I think you should
also be open. This is funny because... I think you should also be open to the fact that, like, you still have the opportunity to... Like, you may still have the opportunity
That's perfectly fine, but as I said, that's like too variable and like too in the future. It's not right now. It's like let's say you think like most people, or you know what most people think, but yet we're still working together. It's not saying that it can't happen. It's saying that people have to be okay with understanding my way of supporting other people, like my generosity, like my sincerity, like, because I think I'm one of the most sincere people I know.
Yeah, I think like most people, you calling me a sheep, bruv. I'm joking. You got bare serious. I wish you could have seen his face.
I was like, what? That's okay. If that's what you got from it, but yeah, and then I was like, am I the best executor that I know? Like, genuinely, like, if I like me meeting other people, out of all the people I've met, am I the top right now? Because before I wasn't the best executor. I remember when I always just wanted to partner with other people and just be with other people and just work with other people. But it wasn't until I started. Like
you're built, you. But okay.
It wasn't until I started working like for myself technically, or just I wasn't even working for myself until I started my website and just started promoting on IG and Twitter and Facebook, and just like said, you know what? Forget all of this mess. I have to be responsible for creating this content, because if people don't understand my level of production, then they're not exactly like, because I can't be on the stage of convincing people. I'm not here to convince anyone that I'm really this good at
I know what you mean.
production, because it's not until you work with me that you're probably gonna see that, yo, I am this good at production. Like, this was in December, so
what was in December?
Me thinking,
like, I need to be just focused on my own.
Because thing. I say it was a dare, but it wasn't actually a dare. It was like, I had another podcast, and that podcast stopped, and then it was like, I had to just be responsible for. I just had to make myself the lead in production, because I was okay back then of someone else leading, like, and I know that I'm personally a really great leader for creating a production, but I was like, you know what, let me take a step back. But in actuality, I'm not supposed to take a step back. I have to be at the front and organizing everything, because I think in that particular way. I have that level of drive, I have that level of work ethic, I have that level of just quality that states this can be great if I'm leading it. So I had to be okay, and then once that started happening, then like not even 3 or 4 months later, other people started coming to me to say that I should be working with them again, because that's not like that has stopped by any means. It's like when they start seeing my level of work, they want to help drive that into an avenue that can suit them. And then that was a conversation on the first podcast. It was like, without being here, this podcast probably couldn't exist. Like, it had to be in a space that I thoroughly examined, and I thoroughly knew that it could work in. So,
why?
Because this is an environment that is conducive to a high level of work, this is a qualifying factor of this level of work.
I don't know, because I just feel like it shouldn't really, like, obviously, yeah, where we do it is going to make it easier, but that shouldn't necessarily define the quality per se, like, or
really
in terms of what we speak about in the actual podcast.
Are you sure?
Because if you feel comfortable and conducive, that's not necessarily, not saying that
are you uncomfortable?
It's not that I don't feel uncomfortable, but I could say the same thing at my house, you know, where my setup is. I'd feel comfortable doing that. Everything's there, setting up would be easy.
Okay, but
that doesn't define whether or not the content of the podcast is going to be good, or the topics that we're talking about aren't actually going to reach a certain audience. I think it's just about making what you've got work. It's like the ideal thing to make it most conducive is having like a proper studio setup where we both like.
Yeah,
you
see,
know what I mean?
no,
That's-
I don't even believe that. I
But-
believe that it's great in the beginning, the way that you've decided that it's going to be great. And I knew for it to be great that it had to start here. I knew that it had to start here. And I still fervently believe that with it being here right now in this space, that it grows into something different and it can transform into something great. And I've already seen that far ahead. I've seen what it can look like at 500 episodes. And I don't know whether you've done the same.
I wouldn't say
Have you-
500 episodes, but I've looked at, I know what this can be as something, as a consistent.
Okay, what
podcast.
was your class of qualifying to say that okay, this can be great?
This can be great.
Like, what was your class? Like, what
the
was
class?
like just a certain classes, just as
consistency.
classifications,
So-
just consistency.
Consistency.
Like, how did you run the simulations?
Communication. There's communication, consistency. In terms of the simulations, I was just thinking of the sort of stages simulations. I was thinking of the different stages we would be at different times. So I would say if we thought about it, like roughly, it would probably be about that 100-point mark of where we'd be at, the kind of things we might be talking about, whether or not we would have other people on the podcast. I'd be thinking about where it might be. How would we have picked a different location at that stage? What kind of equipment have we got? Are we speaking to other people about doing partnerships, etc., little things like that? Would those be in the pipeline? How is it going to affect our work and our brands? What is my work going to be like at that point? You know what I mean? Like, I think in my head, I've thought roughly about a year ahead, like in just my personal, which I need to do a proper
52
thought about.
weeks.
Yeah.
Like, just almost about.
Yeah, that's how far I've thought ahead.
Well, I don't know, that's what. Let's say that's like 60, 80 episodes at most. Like, it's because this is like having the podcast as case study, basically. This is kind of what one sounds like. So or even just understanding the scope of the project, like that what I was asking you to describe would be scope of project. So I've thought about that, and I thought about who, what, when, where, why. What are we really speaking about, and who we'd have to, or who would be able to work with by the content of what we have on the podcast, and how, and who would be listening straight away.
Have you seen Sam's podcast, by the way?
No.
Sam Fellows dropped.
Well,
one.
I've seen
Really
these.
cool.
I know it exists. If that's what you're asking me.
Oh, but you haven't listened.
But
to it
yeah,
yet,
like it's 30 episodes. I think it's just him, right?
30 episodes.
30 minutes. I mean.
Oh,
Yeah. Actually, I've listened to one of them. I think it's the latest one. Like, his voice is so sweet. It's so weird. Like he's got the sweetest voice. But yeah,
it's cool because he does like all the like production for it himself. It's interesting.
Yeah, like, and so the scope of the project. Wait, why did you bring that up?
Just because we was just talking about production value scope of that. I was just pointing that out. Anyway, continue.
when I said the production, I mean, like,
but yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I was just bringing it up. It's just a process.
who would actually be a good partner? Like, and who are those companies? Like, who would? By what I say, I know the type of advertisements that would be on here, and if there ever would be, because me personally, I don't feel like there's just certain things and people that would disrupt the integrity of it, and how I'd have to shift the personality, because this podcast already has its own personality. It has its own, like I don't know whether you've seen the codes already that we work by, and the kind of themes that we run with. It's already showed me who it wants to work with. It's already showed me whether it's even like if there's ever going to be a third mic. It's already showed me who would be interviewed, quote unquote, or would just be a guest on here. Like, it's already showed not who, but whether or not that person would even come into play. And being that, I've had to think about, okay, if it was a serious thing that you really wanted other people to be working like with the culture and camaraderie umbrella, let's say, what we'd have to do that.
What we'd have to do, yeah, naturally.
I've had to think about that. I've had to think about just the...
I don't think it would have to change for the sponsors though. Like that's why it's like it's not like we're doing it for sponsors, are we? We're doing it. We're doing it for the ideas we talk about.
Okay, let me say it straight. I don't want any sponsors on this. I don't want any. Like this isn't something that I've done for money. This is like this isn't something that I'm doing for money. I can make money anywhere else. Just like my website, it's not exactly supposed to make money. There's things that I do for money, and there's things that can make money for me. It's like different things. And what would be the price? And anyways, let me go back to the point, which was, okay, who would be listening straight away? Like what type of person we'd have to engage with first? Like who would be the first movers towards what we're doing right here?
Yeah, because, but isn't that then still thinking of it in that business sense?
Yeah, because I'm a producer.
Yeah, but you're still thinking of it in a way. Not that you're thinking of the intention of making money, but it's like...
No, I'm not thinking about...
Because if it's for the art of it or the creation of it...
It's for... No, I'm talking about the podcast itself.
Yeah.
The personality of the podcast already shows me who is going to be listening. Okay. Like, what... Because of what we speak about, who are the type of people that are going to want to listen. And what is even the... what's the customer, let's say, or who's the consumer? What are their lives like? And that's why in the other podcast I had to help us dig into even just the conversation of learning, because well, if you remember, like I listened to our podcast literally yesterday, and I said, okay, we can speak about that, but we need to really speak about like how you've been meditating for years, and what is learning to you, and how did you get to that point? And we really need to dig into that. Like this is really giving away a lot of the source, but it's funny. But it's cool. It's a funny way of like deriving, because what I'm doing is like really separating the codes and the philosophies and putting them into context of understanding, okay, what is really a job and how would you manage a project under the assumption that you're a producer of this content. Because in this exact same way that I'm speaking is in the exact same way that I've done my website with, is the exact same way that even Pastor Coffee, this I haven't been thinking any differently from Pastor Coffee. Like, this is exactly what I've been thinking about, but, you know, you know what, let me not even go there.
No, it just wasn't the right time.
No.
Yes.
That was barely it. That was barely it, because there was a variable in there. Like, this was around the time that I first met Ali. So that was a variable to me. I had no idea what Ali's work ethic was like.
He listens to this.
Oh, hi, Ali.
What's
like...
good?
Yeah,
like
shout out to you, but
at Comicamo.
I had.
Is it underscore? I'm just giving him a shout out. People got to see his art, man. Do you know what? This is a podcast for creators. We got to share the love. I already said Zamvolo.
I share all of their work, but this is the only work of mine that they share. Let's just put it out there. Anyways, so well, actually, that's a lie. Ali actually shares my podcast.
So you better take that right back. No, say sorry right now.
I don't need to say sorry, but he does sometimes share. What's it? Like, he shared, what's the intention? Not intention, it's the other pink one. Like, how I...
learned how I...
Like, shout out to you. Yeah. Rediscovered my talents, yeah. Like, that's... Like, I didn't know that vlog blew up. Oh, like, my mind blew up when that blog blew up. I was like, whoa. Like, I didn't know that people would... I had no idea that anyone would really read that. because of, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes my words aren't that deep. Sometimes.
But they don't need to be, do they?
Like, no, they need to be.
Well, no. My
like
point is
I
don't need to be to resonate with people. Like, they don't need to be.
No, I'm not talking about deep as in like me actually writing a dissertation. I mean like.
Oh, deep as in like people cared about it.
Yeah, like I didn't know that. Okay, because if someone shared that, that's not the first one of mine that they would share. And if it is, because someone actually did hit me up. Wait, let me find out his name, seeing as we're doing shout-outs now. I didn't know that we'd ever do that on
Might
this.
as well. I don't know. Why not?
Wait, 2 seconds. Because we're actually going off track right now. And that's perfectly okay.
That's the podcast.
Yeah, Shark Control, innit? Like, he's like a sick DJ. Like, he's like so... Like, he does and he plays the saxophone as well. Well, actually, he was at the... men thing that we went to before in Yellow, not just another, yeah. Like, and obviously I followed him on IG and stuff, and I was like, he was like, yeah, the mental health thing, and like he's got like DJ work all the way back into 2011, and I've just been listening to his stuff and that, and like, yeah, so shout out you in it because you're actually wavy. Anyways. Like, let's go back to the conceptualization of an actual project, because that's really what we're speaking about right now. So, vision, like there's scope of project, and then there's vision that we've been speaking about. So, if you like, because there's 3 certain ways that I break down. There's the philosophy, there's the codes, there's the ethics, and then there's the context, right? So the podcast would be the context, but the codes would be how much are you actually thinking about it. Philosophy would be what type of state are you working under? What is your working environment like? Who are you as a person? How are you able to even execute all of these type of things? And then the ethics would be, okay, am I gonna swear? Am I not gonna swear? Is this something that I will share on my social medias? Which social medias will I share? How would I speak about this on Facebook and all of these type of things? It's like the whole thing. Like,
have we been swearing on this podcast?
Yeah, we've swore quite a bit. Like, really, one of my real like ambitions that I've never actually said out loud, because you like to laugh at me when I say certain stuff, is that I want to work with Haribo's. Like, I want Haribo's to be like one of my sponsors.
Okay,
like,
so if there was going to be a sponsor on the podcast,
no,
not on the podcast. That's separate.
In general.
You just mean in general.
I want to work with Haribo's.
Why?
Haribo's is just wavy.
Just because of their brand equity, so to speak.
It's like, no, it's okay. Haribo's is a wholesome brand. It's about family, togetherness, youthfulness. And it's kind of about family, but it's like for adults and kids. Also, you see how they brand themselves. See, look, those are the type of jokes that I'm not really for. Like, with certain things, certain things that I love. Like, it's like there's certain jokes that aren't like. Why would you make fun of Haribo's, fam? Anyways, like, Haribo's is just one of them ones where it's British as well, so it's like one of them ones where it takes me back to my youth, but it's also from a place that I call home. So yeah, it's like it's genuine, and it hasn't exactly changed. Like, it's grown, but it hasn't changed what it was about since I was younger, and I love that. So that's why I would like to work with Haribo's, but that is just a tidbit, because really and truly.
So you only want to work with just because. So yeah, for their so not for their brand equity, but for the kind of brand that they are.
The authenticity.
Just the ethics, the authenticity.
Because they match me in who they are as a company. Like, I love them. Like, if only I could just stop swearing. Like, I really just want to stop swearing and like never.
But see, if you've got a podcast that's out where you are swearing, So is that why you're saying eventually you want to not?
No, because I don't swear anywhere. But like, anyways, but it's.
But in the podcast you have.
But yeah, and I swear to emphasize sometimes, but I just need to learn more. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm still a creative, and there's certain words and things that people respond to, and it's easier to use those words than me to be analogous. Because at the end of the day, like, as much as I love being conceptual and philosophical, it's like that doesn't work all of the time, and that's not the same way that I have to speak all of the time. Sometimes I have to be quite direct and quite crude about the way that I'm speaking, just because, you know, this is an artist working under the guise of a creative.
But I get what you mean, like just having control of it instead of it being a thing you just do randomly.
Like, it all depends. Like, I don't know, because I don't know whether you even think about those type of things.
I think about that. Was to say we had the vocabulary conversation. Like,
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the Haribo thing, like
the Haribo.
Yeah,
brand. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I do think about brands quite a lot. Like but I appreciate them, not in that sense necessarily of like, oh, I'd like to work with these brands. Like,
take a sip of my water there, fam. Yeah, go on.
But I do think of brands quite a lot and the stories they tell and the decisions they make, but just not like I appreciate that. Like I kind of try and break down why would they have made that decision, or why is that a good decision that they've made, or
okay, yeah, give me an example. I want to know.
For example, okay, let's use Haribo as an example. The whole thing with...
No, wait, but it's Haribo one that you genuinely think about all the time?
No, I don't think about it all the time. And I wouldn't say I think about certain brands all the time. They're probably... like, it's weird.
Think about one that's closer to home.
I was just going to give an example of how I would appreciate what a brand does, for example. So I was going to use
but
Haribo
like, let's use context. Context is something that you care about. That's why I'm asking. Logic?
No, because I don't like... It's weird, like...
Is there a certain microphone company that you like? Is there a certain, like, clothing company that you like? Because I know things about Haribo that you might not know. So it's like, it's a weird to use them in context.
Oh, it's so annoying because I couldn't think of one off dome, and this is to say, not that I think about it, like? Not that I think about it like actively, but I do think about it like when I do see something, I think of that in terms of the story it's telling. But like it's not like I haven't gone, okay, that's why I just wanted to use the Haribo one as a
Nescafe.
Yeah, we could say the advert, but like say the Old Spice advert and the origins of that, and the last minute decisions they made to use.
Wait, what last minute decisions?
Not even last minute decisions, but like when they made that video, they made that advert.
Oh, you talk about the viral one?
Yeah, the one that went viral, and and everything that happened to that. And
the
it's not
early
to say
days
that I think
viral, you know.
Yeah,
that was
it was a while ago, but I'm just going to use Haribo as an example because I'm just getting caught up here. But like, this is my point, just to say with Haribo, it's like the thought behind why they have the adults speaking in kids' voices whilst they're eating the Haribo, and they're in adult settings, and just the sort of the use of that juxtaposition and what they're trying to say. And I guess I look at them in the same way that I look at film, because I'm not really like a big film guy. But when I watch a good film, I'll analyze why I like that film so much. I'll be like, yes, okay, so it's these parts that made me feel this way. These things led up to that. Why was they saying that? And I will make my own concrete reasons to what they might be trying to say in that film. You know?
Yeah.
So
I was really
it's the same way of why I'll look at brands, because I feel like a brand is just a condensed story, like a hyper condensed story.
Condensed?
Like, when I say condensed or compressed, or like just, you know, like
you bugging, bruv.
No, because it's just the way I think about it. It's not great. It's just the way I think about it. So it's
so you think
all the parts and the time that they've been around, the reason why they started, everything. It's all when you look at a McDonald's logo, for example, or the way they do the advert, so you hear the jingle, you think of that whole story. You get a complete vibe, and you don't think of it by moment, but everything that brand is about is all condensed to that da, 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 you know what I mean? Or that advert that's made, it's everything in what they're saying in that one moment. Because that's the whole point of a brand. You want to tell a story or a feeling or something.
So you're talking about how marks make you feel. Because I thought you were talking about brand story and equity and how other thing and how a brand's name would translate over time. And
I am kind of talking
the longevity.
Yeah, I'm talking that in a context, but
like when you said DM, you're talking about the mark. Like that's what.
Well, yeah, not just the mark, but it's all those little bits. It's that brand story over time, the brand equity that's built over time, and how that translates into that moment of when someone's choosing to buy that thing, like Coca-Cola or whatever. The reason they're doing it is because of everything that happened prior to that. But just by them interacting with that one moment, whether that be an advert or a symbol or a jingle, there's an immediate connection through that.
Yeah,
but because of the story beforehand, you get what I mean? I appreciate that, and that's what I think about when I see.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Each moment of.
So I understand where we separated in the conversation, because I don't exactly because I have to know. I had to know Warren Buffett, and then I had to know why they used that Christmas advert, and then all of the jingles. Oh, it's Coca-Cola. Oh, it's Coca-Cola. Like all of that stuff, and I had to know where that came from and why they use the season's greetings and why they sponsor the Olympics and why all of these other things. I have to analyze that before I can even start thinking about caring. Because I don't care about...
Is Coca-Cola why everything's red and white and the Christmas stuff? It's not, is it? I don't know why. Why is Christmas stuff red and white?
What do you think? You don't know?
I actually don't know.
Well, this is a space where everyone can just do homework on the... Let's all figure out why Coca-Cola is red and white. And comment. Not now. This is... No. Don't... let's not pause the
okay, go on.
My loving flow. You're still Google. Are you good to Google? Okay, good. I love that.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, but the brand... Because, it's like...
Because I had to know Haribo for over 10 years. Haribo's been there since the fact that Haribo's been there since I was a kid makes me want to know as an adult why I care about it. And why and because now I care about it, I want to work with them. So it's not about business, it's about ethics and authenticity, which is a note that you wrote in the group chat, I believe.
Ethics and authenticity.
No, you said authenticity. Wait, did you say authenticity?
No, that was you.
Was that me?
Yeah.
Was it me?
You did. That was you.
No. No. Was it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was you.
Damn. I hate that. Was that me? I don't want to speak about this. No.
You didn't want to speak about this? Only concerning authenticity.
Yeah, because that was a specific topic.
Okay, so
that's a specific topic.
Ethics
and authenticity is one thing.
Yeah,
but authenticity
in music. That's what I'm saying. Authenticity in music. Well, do you know what? It just comes down to that doing things for money or not. It's the reason you're doing things, isn't it? It's like if you're going to do it for an external something external. Mm-hmm. You are going to do things that aren't congruent to your intrinsic values.
Do you want to contextualize it a little bit? Because I sent my one after you sent your one. Because there was a Cornell West Wing thing with...
Oh, yeah.
Because I watched that and then you
that
said
was
it,
interesting,
which was funny.
yeah, because it was just interesting to sort of hear them talk about sort of figures in history and black figures in history specifically, and how
this is my topic.
And especially in music, he spoke about people like James Brown, and he spoke about kenosis.
Yeah.
Which was all really interesting. Okay, I feel like he wants to just talk about this instead of me doing it.
No,
so you can take the reins if you want to do it. That's
but
fine.
I'm excited.
Look, if I'm interrupting your flow, you're more than welcome to step in.
No, I'm excited about this topic. I just want to know why you sent it to me.
And I thought kenosis, because that's the first time I'd sort of heard of kenosis.
Okay.
And it's a very interesting topic because kenosis is, it came from the Greek word, was it ekon? I can't remember exactly where it came from, but essentially, it's a.
No, this is one thing that you should Google. This is one thing that you should Google.
Christian word from.
Make sure you really.
It came from the Bible, didn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It comes from the Bible,
obviously.
And it's essentially.
I didn't want to send it to the group chat, to be honest with you.
Didn't you? Why?
No. Because he was talking about things that I've been talking about for the past 4 years.
Okay, so
which is weird.
In Christian theology, the renunciation
of
the divine nature, and least that passed by the Christ in incarnation. So
I've been speaking about this stuff.
It's the Christian kenosis is the self-emptying of Jesus, but it was the context of which
it was
Dr.
used.
Cornell
West
was saying it was through the artists, through their craft and their art and their performance, delivering all of themselves within that performance to sort of give everything themselves to the audience.
I'm so happy these conversations are recorded.
And because he brought up a really interesting story about James Brown, about when he was in the performance. He'd be there for 4 hours doing a 4-hour show, and even when he's sort of coming to an end,
have you seen the YouTube videos
of James Brown?
Yeah.
No, that's why I haven't looked at it. So I need to look at those afterwards. I want to look at those. Who else did he say? He said someone else. He said a couple other people. Same thing with Prince. It was his sort of theory. That's why Prince, what happened to Prince, because he was just in so much pain. His body was so broken down from how much he gave to his performances. Like, he had problems with his hip, and that's why he's taking all the pills, and apparently that's why he's died. So it's that through that process of he's emptied himself. When he performed, he gave everything he had. And James Brown was an example. He gave an example. He told a story about how James Brown, when he'd be doing these 4-hour performances in front of everyone, he'd be like, is there anything I've missed? Have I played everything? If I didn't speak now, like, people would be like, you didn't play so and so. Straight into it. Be crack out that song. It was like, let's go. No questions asked. They just play everything that every single person in that place wanted to hear. And just by that man's energy, you could see that was the truth. And I think,
what, by Cornell West energy?
No. By James Brown's energy, you could see when he would perform. It wasn't a thing of he was trying to be James Brown per se. Like,
wait, what do you mean?
Like James Brown, this figure of what James Brown, he was putting himself out there, everything about who he was out there into the world.
Okay.
And it was living by his passion, his talents, what he had been given, and it was that sort of, just even the fact that you would ask the audience, what haven't you heard? I'm going to do that. Not even a question asked. Like, that to me is purely intrinsic. Like, because even though he's doing that for other people and he's giving his gift to the world, he's abiding by his own intrinsic values, and he's sticking to that plan, sticking to what he believes.
His ethos and philosophy.
Yeah. And yeah, you could argue someone who's doing something for external things.
What do you mean? Yeah, you could argue. It's not an argument. It's the fact.
Yeah.
It's the fact. Like, let's not pussyfoot around when people do things for other things. When people do things for things that aren't necessarily, well, artists. Like, I'm speaking about artists. When artists do things do stuff for things like money or fame, that they're not really truly being who they're supposed to be. Or even in that, it's like they're not even being an artist in that regard. They're not because they've done that. They're not artistic.
I can't remember what point I was gonna make, but it just seems so pointless now. What I was gonna say, point, but I can't even remember what I was gonna say. Anyway, but yeah, like at the end of the day, I think just from what they gave to the world and the energy they brought.
I don't know how much energy I'm gonna put into this topic, but I feel like it's gonna be a lot.
It's about to come in it, but yeah, no, it's it was it was a cool.
Okay.
It was a cool podcast episode.
I love.
But yeah, go on.
I love. I just want to say first of all, I want to start with love, and say first of all to all the artists out there that I really love you, and I want us to all be the best, and us to all pursue our gifts and talents to our most highest of energies, our most like. I just want us to be ourselves, the best selves that we could possibly be. And let me start with is it an example or is it like an anecdote? It's an anecdote. Okay. I have been cool for like a long period of time. But I have not been cool as well. Like there's parts of me that's like really super cool. Like I'm like, but there's also other parts of me that's like not. Like, wouldn't necessarily be cool to the masses or to the public because of the way that I do things. So, that being said, I'm a geek, and I had to accept the fact that I was a geek. I had to accept it. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, I love to learn. There's nothing else that I like to do but learn and gather real information. And really, because the funny thing I said when you sent the Cornell thing, I was thinking, because I was like, wait, what's this video? And then it was a Cornell and I was like, I didn't want to send it because he was saying things that I've been saying, which is the weirdest part about it. And it's like and I like because I was listening because and that was the other thing with the other guy, the bald guy, I forget his name, with the glasses, but
Old guy with the glass.
Yeah, he was like the linchpin theory or whatnot, and it's like this type of stuff.
Oh, that's gonna get to me because I know exactly what.
Yeah,
you're
okay, no, that's
about.
perfectly fine. We don't need to like other people can look up linchpin theory, but like these are just certain type of themes that I've spoke about for years. But when other people speak about them, it just tells me that and when other respected quote unquote people I talk about it, just tells me that I've been thinking the right way this whole time. So like because no one tells me that I'm good. Like no one compliments me really. Like there's only a couple people that like compliment me and say that, oh, you were right in this particular idea or way of thinking. And sometimes people want to make me feel like I'm crazy, and that's perfectly fine. But I know when I see certain things like that Cornell West interview that I'm not the crazy one. Like I know when I was talking about what year was Pasta Coffee? Was it 2016 or 2017?
2016.
I think it was 2016. When I was talking about listening to disco, when I was talking about listening to funk, when I was talking about listening to jazz, when I was talking about listening to blues, I was really on the cusp of something. And now, like, because now 4 years deep, I'm heavily into jazz, and all I listen to is like music from, because we already spoke about this, I listen to music before the 90s. Like half my listening experience comes from songs prior to the 90s. And and then we spoke about, was it The Art of Making a Classic 2 episodes ago? And it was one of those ones where it's like, oh, this is, because the codes in Art of Making a Classic is exactly the same ones here, which is understanding that what a lot of what people do now isn't classical vibes. No one's really going after a classical vibe. They're going after the one that will hit, or the one that will make people feel, or even not even make people feel, because that would be classical vibes, but really just being in the moment and not really making music for like the totality. And this was because, shout out Tate, because me and her got into an argument about this when we were talking about Adele and all of those type of things, and like and it was just the understanding that if someone's making a classic.
What was the argument?
No, it's just all around those things. It's like it's about classics and like being over 25 and making music, like and having lived a life and certain things, because there's certain things that other people in our age don't do. Because what episode did I say that we live in luxury?
Tyler said that exact same thing. He was like, as soon as I hit 25, I was like,
yeah. Oh yeah, see, and that's what I was saying.
You said that.
Okay, wait, you say
you did say that. You did say that.
So wait, can we just stay on that 1 second? So when I wasn't even 25 yet. I was like, what, 24? This was 4 years ago.
4 years?
Yeah.
A while back.
Wow, I was young.
22?
Yeah, 23. I was 23. Yeah, I was literally about to go 24 or something. But yeah, I was like, yeah, when people hit 25, their music just changes. And it was like, no, this was a tweet. It was a tweet on my burner account, now common account. And yeah, and like, shout out to Taylor. Shout out Tay again, because like she kind of went into a rage with me. It's part of the reason why she doesn't like me. but it's one of those ones where it's like, I know what I'm talking about, blood. Sometimes it's just, like, I can say stuff to, like, you know, it's fine. It doesn't really need to be an argument, so I just leave it alone.
But obviously, when you say over 25, it's not like you're talking like once the clock strikes 25.
That their music, like,
their music just instantly changes. But it's kind of like amount of life from experience. That moment on, you've lived a certain amount of life, and if you've been making art up until that point.
Because guess what? We, like I said before, we live in luxury. We don't have to go off to war. We don't have to live in lynchings. We don't have to listen to strange fruits and ignite a memory in our minds of someone being lynched. We don't have to do that. We haven't lived through certain traumatic, because that's what it was. We haven't gone through, because, well, I've lived through trauma, yeah. I've almost died a couple of times, yeah. That's totally different. That's me being the exception, I should say. It's like a lot of people have very healthy lives that they don't go through a certain amount of things, and that is not me faulting anyone. That's just me saying we live in a lot of luxury right now. And talking about a breakup has been done. Talking about first love has been done. Like, Tupac and Biggie were really like properly. They were properly exceptions to the rule. Properly, because Reasonable Doubt dropped when Jay-Z was over 25. So, like just deep that for a second. Like, it was over 25. Like, and Biggie and Tupac were before him. Nas was before him. Like, and like Jay-Z lived a certain life. And I really want to take it to some of the UK artists, but really and truly.
Okay, so in what way is it that you think that albums do change? Do you think in terms of an authenticity thing?
I think if someone's being authentic to themselves, then like, because I texted you 2 things, didn't I? Like, did you watch those videos? You didn't watch those videos.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Oh wait, when did you? Because you sent them like yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch them, unfortunately.
So, generally, it's okay.
Is it Blueface?
Yeah, there was that one, and there was another one. Because Blueface said he was the most lyrical rapper out. And
what did the other guy say?
What did Charlamagne say? Charlamagne said, no, he's not, fam. That's what you're supposed to say. Bust Down for Iana is not the most lyrical jam. Like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, obviously, no, he's just backing. Of course, it's not. He's just backing himself. But
I don't care about him just. I don't care about him just backing himself. Like, he is not. And I'm sorry, JID. He is not JID. Sorry for even speaking your names in the same sentence. He's not JID. He's not Buddy. He's like. No. You're not allowed. It's like.
But I get what you mean. It's the self-awareness. He's kind of just.
You can make a jam. cool. That's cute.
Well, that's exactly what we're
cute.
talking about, though, because he low-key knows he's not the best lyricist. And if he actually thinks he's the best lyricist, I haven't seen the video, so I couldn't gauge on the way he was explaining it. But he's clearly doing it for that reason.
Even No Name.
He's just gonna be on Twitter statuses and Instagram posts, like people going, "Oh my gosh, look what he said."
You give people too much credit of being stupid.
Well, yeah,
like,
no.
How about he just thinks that.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
As I just said, I haven't seen it.
He believes it.
I can't
he believes
see
it
the way
with
he
his
said it.
heart and soul. He believes it with his spirit.
But yeah, what did what's that guy who did the Ransom song, innit?
Yeah, like
What
he
did
was
he
like,
say?
I don't have any of these things. I don't have a Lambo. I don't have any guns. I've got to go. Like basically, all of his lyrics, every single bar was a lie. Every single bar was a lie.
Performance, man, actors.
I'm like because
innit?
there are singers, yeah, that actually have songs written for them. Like Brown Skin Girl was written for Beyonce, but it was performed with the intent of understanding that she knows or she has been around that type of struggle, which is why she had to emphasize Lupita and Kelly early in the song. You haven't listened to the song? Okay, so but Brown Skin Girl was written by St. John. Shout out to St. John. Like he's one of my favorite new acts right now. I'm just enjoying the way he moves.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you about. We can go into it a bit later, but I want to talk about some of the more modern acts that you appreciate that are approaching.
I've been saying their names, like their names just come out of my mouth, like not.
But yeah,
not
I want to
even in a
talk about
form.
But I just want us to sort of elaborate on those acts and kind of talk about why and what there is specifically them. But we can go into that a bit later.
Because and I want us away from the 25 one. Like when we speak about the old school, it's like not old school. When we speak about music that lives for a long time. It doesn't age that much. The age, like, I can still listen to Politics as Usual and just understand man telling me the code. I understand exactly what he's saying. I understand. Politics as Usual is Jay-Z's second song on Reasonable Doubt. It's like one of the, like right now, me as a 26-year-old, it's like everything. It's like, there are people out there that live by the same code of ethics that I live by. And knowing that, I'm okay with certain people not liking me because they don't even live by certain codes. They don't have certain morals. They don't have certain principles that I have. So how would we even get along? And me as a 26-year-old, I'm not really accepting many things anymore. I used to accept bare stuff when I was a younger, not anymore. So it's like, I have to be okay with that. And this is what I was saying in the beginning, is that I just have to be okay with like not working with certain people. And this type of stuff that Tyler was talking about is like, I don't really fuck with a lot of people. And that's my Haribo's thing gone, because I said the F word. That was a joke. But anyways.
But it's not, because this actually might be gone because of that.
No.
This isn't the F word, man. This isn't the ethos.
Yeah.
The ethos.
It's not part of my philosophy yet to not swear anymore. So anyways.
Okay, cool. But
But genuinely, it is the taking part in actual life and understanding that sometimes what you have to say right now is needed for everybody's ears. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're just a voice box for someone else's thoughts and opinions. Maybe that's what you are.
But then again, you gotta think this guy's young, man. This guy's young.
No wait, away from Blueface. I'm talking about the state.
I'm talking about that other guy.
Oh, the other guy.
Because he's just one of
he's 17.
many. He's one of many. You know what I mean? There's loads of people his age. What's like Lil Pump's only just turned 20, hasn't he?
This is
so ridiculous. Like with a lot of this, the way music is now, it's become so like pop in particular has become so simplified, and especially with the way they've used hip hop, has become so simplified. You can just it has come down to almost a formula of where the song needs to just be and I guess it's always been that way, like throughout time. Like with pop music in particular, it's just so happened now it's taken from hip hop and it's become this thing where it's like
I can feel myself scowling while you're saying that. I can feel my brows furrowing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's become a formula where, especially with social media, you just need to make it. It's kind of like when you're making a story. You're just like, you give it a bit of surprise, you give a bit of context because of all the things that are going on around, and then you have this catchy jingle.
Like a story?
It's kind of like it's like the formula of a story in a weird way. Like, you have the surprise, you have the context of what is going on at the time. Then with social media, you do something, you've got this crazy video, you've got something that just two things that don't go together. Like, he's this like super nerdy kid with braces and stuff, but he's just surrounded by big butts and he's riding around on cars.
The video?
Yeah, I've seen it. And yeah, it's a catchy song. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, it's catchy, but not that I didn't know that was I didn't know like for certain concrete that it was the case that he didn't write, but that's not something that I'm really that surprised by. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just a formula that they can slap on people. It's like even with especially with a lot of these kids, all they care about is just being like famous. Like, that's it. There is no it's no archery. It's the reason there's no archery is because it's so easy to make a song like that now as well. You can just, bro, like, we could make something that could get up on there now if we just, you know what I mean, I bet you if we actually really tried to pull off that formula, we could set things off right now. I've got FL Studio on my laptop, you know, we've got a couple of mics, that's all we need. We've got an interface to record it, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? Like, that's how easy it is to get and post it within today. You could mix it, master it, post it within today. You know what I mean? That's how easy it is to make music now and get it released and distributed. So with that in mind, when kids like this come around and someone just goes, okay, there needs to be little aspects of things that go together. There is still a certain art to putting something like that together, but not art in the sense of authenticity. That being said, because the reason we even started this conversation was the sort of authenticity versus the aspects of something that makes it a classic, and authenticity being that defining factor, right? Like, that's stuff like this guy is always gonna be around with the current state of the way the music business and the music industry is, like social media. People are always gonna want something to laugh at, to be like, oh, like, just get crazy about it. They don't want to think.
It doesn't make it, like, the only reason why that made it into my peripheral is because of
what it says about the other side.
Someone who not even that. Someone who I'm following retweeted it, and someone who I've allowed their retweets to be active. So that's how it got into my timeline, because I switch off people's retweets. So it's like, and
was that a cause to quiet his retweets?
Revoke retweet? No, it wasn't.
Okay, fair.
It was like, you know, because
it was basically podcast content. You let it slide.
Yeah, literally, and like, I didn't even laugh when I watched that video. I was like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I was like, what is people's, like, I was just like, wow. Mate, I quote tweeted it. I was like, yo, this is everything. Like, this is funny in quotes, but it's not. This is terrible.
But see, the thing is, this has been around since the music industry started, though.
Yeah,
like, there's been people who have literally not even their voices haven't been. Remember that duo? They were just dancers. Like, their voices weren't even on the tracks, and it was a hit. Their voices weren't even like, they were literally just the dancers, and they were miming.
And
everything. It's always been around. I don't think that's a...
Yeah, because you're talking about industry, and you're talking about majors and all of that stuff. I'm talking about being an artist. I don't care about the industry.
I'm pretty sure he's distributed through a major.
I'm talking about, because I don't want to speak about that boy as the context for this conversation, because that is not, he isn't the point. The point is, music is part of art. Music is deriving from the muse.
You're sweating, by the way.
Yeah, it's hot in here. Don't worry about it. It's like the muse, like the show must go on. Like,
Sorry, yeah, the muse.
yeah, so the muse. So, like I said, you're drawing from the infinite space in your mind, and you're using yourself as a channel for offering to the world.
Okay.
That's the way I describe it. This is the way I've been describing it from since a month ago, I think. This is the way I started describing it, right? That is not just music, that is art, right? And that's why a lot of artists say this art isn't mine, this was given to me, or like you have this other essence that's there, because sometimes the things that I know that are deep to me, it's like they are, I don't know how I could have thought of this thing. There are certain things that I've never ever spoke about that that are just in my mind, that are just like, this comes from a certain place. Mm-hmm. This was given to me by someone else. Anyway, it is, as an artist, it has, like, there's just a certain amount of integrity that comes about with other people and other artists, and when they live by the codes, when they live by all of these other things, their work shines to me. And it doesn't shine in spite of all of the other things. It just shines because that's what it's supposed to do. So great work shines regardless. It's not about, oh, I'm even looking for a certain sound or certain types of people, or I'm just trying to reject whatever people are offering to me. It's like, if your work is great, it will shine through. It's like when people talk about Migos and Mumble, and I was like, when people talk about Migos and Bad and Bougie and mumble rappers, and the reason I laughed was because you said something back then, which is hella, well, it wasn't funny back then to me, but it was funny as a thing that I remember. And
What was it I said?
you said hip hop is dying.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Did I? Wow.
You did.
Because it's funny, because I don't think, like now, I don't think of it like that.
Of course you wouldn't, because literally about 6 or a year after, 6 months or a year after, hip hop was defined as the number one genre in the world.
Yeah,
so
but when I even said that, I wasn't thinking of it in terms of what.
Like when I was showing you Lil Uzi Vert, when I was showing you Migos, when I was showing you all of these people, when I was showing you Yachty even.
So what do you think of Lil Uzi now, just in the context of the conversation? Because I wouldn't have said that in terms of like hip hop is dying, as in like it's not going to be around. It's just what it was, more so in the context of what it was becoming.
We had that conversation.
But like even now.
Properly. And if you want me to recap it for you, because I remember it intently, because that's one of the reasons why we don't really speak about hip hop, because it's like there's certain context that's needed. Because I told you that hip hop has been around, it's going to change and it's going to mold, but there's certain foundations that stay there. And now we've got people like JID, Buddy that shine through by themselves. And I just want to shout out bare names now. Like, there's just so many names to even ring off.
No, yeah. Even Earth Gang are sick.
What? I just want to
Dreamville.
I just want to ring off names. Like, but just the point is, it's like.
Look, I'm not even like a.
That's only a couple. That was.
I'm
only
not even a
couple
huge hip
ago.
hop fan. Like, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do like hip hop. Like, I don't really listen to much stuff in the past, but like specifically Dreamville, that whole label, everything about.
Wait, do you listen to Dreamville?
Oh yeah.
Any artists? I mean.
Any artists?
No, I mean, do you listen to Dreamville artists particularly?
Particularly, I just like what they are as artists and what they bring, and just their level of skill. And like Earth Gang, whoa! When I first heard those guys, like, and I first heard about them because of JID. And the thing is, I heard JID and I was like, whoa, this guy's sick.
So I just want to ring off names.
Yeah, like, but all of them, man, all of them are crazy. Obviously, I listen to people like Smino.
Ring off more names, No Name,
No Name. I
Like-
never got into No Name, you know.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man. But on a genuine, and then let me just shout out Griselda, like Benny the Butcher, West Side Gun, and Conway the Machine. Them three, oh fam, gully. They're just gully. Anyways, the point is, when you're an artist, it's you come with a thing. You come with your own set of rules. You don't make yourself a meme for just making yourself a meme's sake. You like look at Kendrick Lamar. He's so silent right now. He's not even saying a word. He's chilled as anything. He don't care about nothing anyone is saying, and there will be no dispute that he's still the top 3 rappers in the world, because that is the point. Like not even just rappers, like penmans now. Like he won a Pulitzer Prize for his work. So it's like it's not even just him being an artist or him being a rapper. It's him being an artist and then someone who's really good at writing, just being at the top of your game with words. Being the best person with, like, because that is my pursuit, is to be the best person with words. It's whether it's in writing, whether I'm speaking, or anything. It's like it has, like, it just, like, just being epic, like, during a speech, during, like, a podcast, during a essay, in a book. It just has to be, like, because I'm nothing right now. I'm nowhere near elite when it comes to the best writers even, but I'm still great. That's the funny thing. It's like I know I'm great, but at the end of the day, I'm nowhere near the best writers, and it's the understanding that I'm coming with my own set of rules and principles, and I've seen that people who live by a code work. So I have to be okay with sacrificing all of these other things. I have to sacrifice money for art in a lot of cases. So I have to make sure that my art stays the same. And that's why when I speak about not having any sponsors, quote unquote, it's like, then there will be certain things that we'd have to say on purpose. And then that to me transforms the integrity. And then when we speak about all of these other, like, not even all of these other things, just in that, let's just use that as the example. It's like understanding that there's a way that the podcast speaks, there's the way that I have to put art first, and you have to be the example when you're an artist, or else, and you're not supposed to conform. You don't like, if you're a real artist, you don't conform to hip hop just because it's the best genre in the world, or it's the highest grossing genre in the world. There are people that are doing Afrobeats right now. Beyonce done a whole Afrobeats album just to say, like, when it comes to singing or rapping, or it's like she done a hip hop album last year with her husband, and then she done an Afrobeats album this year. So it's like, it's not about being where people are looking. It's about being yourself. Because if Afrobeats decided to sound like hip hop, then it wouldn't get the same looks. It had to be authentic to the grounds that it was raised from. It had to be authentic to Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, all of those other places. So,
and that's exactly
I
how
take it upon myself.
View your own personal journey as well, isn't it?
It's like it's just taking it upon yourself to be yourself and asking yourself real questions like, are you really yourself? What, like, and asking those, like, really those in-depth questions. And these are the questions that I had to ask myself for the past 2 years before, like, I started working again. Because, like, I stopped working 17 and 18 so that this year I could actually be the guy. So I could be on top. Like, there was obviously products I did here and there for socials just to keep up to my tools. But when it came down to it, it's like, when I'm working for myself now and executing now, it's like, and not even talking about executing, when I'm creating my art now, in getting ready for the 20s, it is the point I'm making is proving that great art can exist without needing to conform. And that's the point a lot of other people make, and using the codes in itself, because I remember I said being an artist is unfortunate. It's unfortunate for a lot of reasons, because in this capitalist system, in this consumer system, it's like we have to make money, or people have to make money, so they compromise things. They don't compromise things, they compromise themselves for things. And that is sad as an artist, because then you're a gimmick, and then you aren't who you really want to be. And then when you try and be yourself, then and then the people are like, whoa, what's happening? And just all of these other things.
But I've got a feeling about that, because the thing is, when you've connected with an audience for something that isn't you, that's what you've done. Is like, you've got different lanes, right? You've got all these other different ways that you could go to appeal to people. There's different paths and sections of people you can appeal to. But really, there's only going to be one that leads down the other paths of... Because, yeah, as you're creating art, it's a process of self-discovery as well. So there's going to be paths that sort of shoot off, that are still authentic to you, but through your process of discovery, you make certain choices to go down certain paths. Now... there's only truly, though, one direction you really can go in being authentic to yourself. And you know, moment by moment, really, just from an intuitive sense, what is most authentic to you. Now, if you're following any other path apart from that, you're appealing to the people that wouldn't like what is authentically you. But when you're following your own authentic path, there is it's just like with this podcast, we're speaking about a particular set of things. From the moment you know what we're talking about, you know the kind of people that are going to be hearing it.
Yeah.
I believe that it's the same way for each individual person and artist who creates things. You've got a whole wider range of people that you can like appeal to, but there's going to be a certain kind of people that appeal to the certain choices you make, choices of things you choose to create and show. Does that make sense, or have I made that too convoluted? Like, what you choose to show, depending on what you choose to show, certain people are going to like that.
I feel like being yourself. Well, not even being yourself. It's like, idea of being the best artist you can possibly be. Because I'm in the understanding that there's an echelon or a stage where I'm trying to gauge on whether I can be the best ever. Like, and knowing that, okay, I'm not at my limit yet, so there's more. There's that more over the hill. So let's just take that away. When we're talking about Kendrick Lamar, he's speaking about certain type of things. He has a certain audience. It's not even a certain audience. He has the world as his audience. He has the world as his audience, but his subject matter comes from a specific place. Like Nina Simone toured the world, but she was talking about the plight of the black people in America. So that's me saying, you can be speaking about certain things, like, because you were talking about targeting a demographic, and that's business. That's not art.
No.
Like, being yourself is just being yourself and having people gravitate.
That's my point. I wasn't specifically talking about the targeting. Because, for example, I was just riffing off the point where you made, because when people are doing one thing, and then they start changing, trying to be authentic to themselves, we were saying like how it tarnishes that audience, because they're like, well, what's this? Blah, 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 blah. But my point was to say, that's just the audience that like the things that you made inauthentically.
To me, that's just targeting a demographic. That's
exactly
not,
that shouldn't define.
Business.
Oh, I've done it once. Oh no, I'm done. Or like, oh, was that all that was there for me, or whatever? No, that's just what those people that your stuff was targeted towards, that's who you hit.
I feel.
Whereas your authentic stuff, or the things you, or the authentic you and the things you create, are going to appeal to a completely different set of
I don't
people.
know. I don't know whether my stuff appeals to anyone. I feel like it almost just appeals to me, and then people gravitate. People gravitate towards us.
There's 7. There's. Look, it's at the end of the day. That's the beauty of the.
I know who I can speak to. But when I'm making art, it's not about who is going to buy it. This is the point. It's not about who's going to be reading, who's going to be listening, who's going to be clicking onto my website. It's all about what I want to speak about, and then whoever gravitates towards it.
You still pay attention to that.
Because I'm a project manager and producer. Only because I have to not only...
But does
I have to be able to extrapolate the content that I'm doing and creating a business format for certain people who think a certain way.
Okay.
Because I'm not speaking about myself I'm not speaking about all of these things for the sake of me. I don't look at numbers for the sake of me. I think I look at numbers for this, or I look at demographics and all of these other things for the sake of understanding business. So if I can understand it here, it translates to another place.
Okay,
and
so all the statistics and the stats of your podcast of your website and stuff, that's separate from the actual content that you create. You don't think what you get from those stats doesn't affect your content in any way.
It doesn't.
Not even a slight little
Not even the slightest. Not even the slightest. Not even 1 iota, modicum, percent at all. I can never, ever allow... Like, if there's a day where no one goes onto my website, that's perfectly fine. One, I didn't start my website for other people. I started it for myself. I started it to write a fashion blog. And even I didn't even start it to write a fashion blog. I started writing fashion blogs on someone else's website, and then I translated it to my own because I just wanted to house my things properly, because once I deleted my old Twitter, all of those tweets got deleted, right? So I had to think, what if this website gets deleted? And this is also to the point of what I was making before. I'm not in control, and I have to do things, but I have to understand that I have to do things by myself sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I made this for this particular reason, and then I have the freedom. I have the absolute freedom to make whatever I want, not for anybody else. I don't particularly ask people to share my blogs. I share my blogs on my Instagram, on my Facebook, and my Twitter, and people that like me share my things. But those are only people that like me. The people that read it from those shares, from the friends that share my stuff, those are the listeners. Those are the people that are gravitating towards it. They don't know me from nowhere. However, they clicked on it, they read it, and then they done something else. That has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me being that person's friend. That has nothing to do with my friend. That has everything to do with whatever I was showing on my website. Bringing it all the way back, numbers cannot affect what I'm writing. As I said, I took 2 years out of the whole game. Not just...
Well, not even
not
necessarily
just,
what you're writing,
not
but what
just,
you... Because you're writing all the time, right? And you'll be writing what you think. But it's more of in terms of okay, I'll drop this blog because it's just like the time will probably be out there. Like the people who are reading it will appreciate it because of just what people have been interested about what I've been writing so far or whatever. But
I hate to say it
just from what you said, but
I hate to say it this bluntly, but no, actually I even forgot the way I was gonna say it.
2 seconds time.
Yeah, because it was silly. It's not even something that I would say, but it's just not in my mind. It's not. I don't care about that type of stuff. I know when to drop certain things because that is the way things are done. It's totally different. I dropped my, I don't drop pictures on Instagram for Instagram likes. None of that. If I really wanted to hit the targets for Instagram likes, I'd do it a completely different way. There's nothing on my Instagram that says I'm doing this for likes. I'm not even doing it for content's sake. It's not even proper content that I'm sharing.
Are you talking about the stuff you post on your story, you mean? Or on your page? I'm
talking about on my actual page. Like,
okay, so what is it? What is the reason you...
Because it looks pretty to me. I like the way the pink and the blue interact. That is the reason I have it there. Because the pink and blue interact so sick. And I love that. It's like I didn't know that I could do that type of stuff. And I like playing with negative space. So the way that I done my latest one was I have one block of writing on one side and one block of writing on the other side, and they match up asymmetrically, and they read totally. They read so well. But the point is, someone can look at it and understand that I know what I'm doing when it comes to graphic design. This has nothing to do that is business. This is pleasure. I'm doing it for my pleasure. That stuff is fun to me. Playing with negative space, like because I'm not doing it for likes anymore, I can do stuff like playing with negative space. I can do stuff like being inventive with color. I can do stuff like writing about hats. Like, I haven't even shared that blog, but I love that blog. I didn't write it for anyone else but me. I like understanding that I can wear a babushka and a balaclava and a beret. That's like saying that that would probably be even like saying I dress up for other people. I don't. I look bomb in the things that I wear. That's even funny because last week I went to the graduation barbecue thing, innit? And I had a choice between one hoodie and the other hoodie. Both of them are sexy, but one just happened to be off-white. And people let me call it off-white for now. But people noticed that it was off-white, and they told me that I'm wearing off-white because it's off-white, right? It's not off-white. It's Pyrex. Totally different brand. Mm-hmm. And the reason you can tell it's Pyrex is because of whatever the writing, the way that the screen printing is even done. That's how you can tell it's Pyrex. But that's because I love fashion. I love clothes. I want to be able to screen print like that. And that's why I've got it. Because it looks hot. That's like, it's wavy. Only because of the screen printing, not because of anything else. Mm. And obviously I followed Virgil when I was in university, and there's that whole story that I can spiel about. And Virgil was also the first blog I wrote when I got that hoodie as well. So it's like, and the hoodie is high fashion, and I've already wrote all of these blogs that come about. But the point is, I don't dress for other people the same way. And dressing to me is an art form. Same way I don't write my stuff for other people, because my art is more important than whoever's going to read it. Sorry to say. Like, I don't know whether that sounds offensive or not, but my art is so much more important. The integrity of why I write is so important to me. The reason I write is to understand, it's for people to understand where this thing is coming from. The codes, principle, philosophy, ethics, context, morals, all of the stuff that I think about, like all of this, everything that I'm speaking about is what I would write about. This is a blog. This is the reason why I can be on another podcast and it will be exactly the same conversation. Almost, because obviously me and you have a special type of conversation and a special type of relationship that allows these conversations to go about.
Do you think you'll do another kind of podcast at some point?
Yeah. Not like feature on a podcast, you mean?
Well, just whether you
just
feature or have another one like on the side, because obviously
enough
people have, because I've been thinking about
a second one, and
one with the Suede guys as well.
I've been thinking about a second one for you personally. Yeah, like under the obvious umbrella, and like, yeah, I know, because I know the things exactly that you want to do, and there's certain things that I want to do, and I don't want to hinder your creative process, so I have to think about that type of stuff. Like, if we're not gonna do it here, how are we still gonna do it? And how?
Yeah, no, I think about that as well. Like, I know what this is. Like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is separate from everything else.
Yeah, sort of
This
thing.
is just the aspects of us that, what's the word? Not coincide, but collide or
and collaborate or
correlate.
Yeah.
There we go.
All of those
I knew it was a C.
all of them C's, fam.
Gang.
Yo, C gang, you feel? Oh yeah, C, all of the C's, fam. Gang, culture, camaraderie. You feel me?
But yeah, like, yeah, man, because that's what I've just been thinking about with everything I'm doing.
Yeah, fam.
I say this all the time.
I've almost died, bruv.
Almost died. Yeah. It's like,
So. Living my life, like, and I'm like I said in one of the other podcasts, I'm not gonna kill myself, so I might as well live for something, and that's not
exactly
gonna
how I
be
see it.
for money. I'm not going to let an audience kill me. I'm not gonna let an audience drive me. I'm not gonna let an audience be the reason that I make certain things the way I've made it. Like, I understand that there's also a performative aspect to offering your art to the public. There's a certain way that you do things. There are certain things like book cover reveals that you have to understand. There's certain timeline that you have to follow. There's a certain time that you have to drop. Those are all performative, but that has nothing to do with anything that's in the book. Those are just industry standard. And understanding those industry standards, you can translate it to anything that you're doing. But art being in itself, like, you have to have a pretty picture as a blog cover, or else people aren't necessarily going to click on it. So it's like those little things, like, you have to understand the performance of it. But that's not talking about an audience. That's understanding that this has to be here. There's
certain things that make certain things happen.
Yeah, there's just, but I have to make sure that whatever I've wrote is my thing. Like, a lot of my things are like notes. Like, I've got a lot of spelling errors in my blogs. Got a lot of them. Got a lot of punctuation errors. All of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and the point is,
that's life though, man. That's life though. If those little things happen, it's like I'm thinking about. It's like, with the first episode, if
I'm
there was
26,
if
man.
there was so many things about the
time.
first episode that we got caught up on and trying to spend like a month trying to
perfect a first episode.
It's like you're never gonna drop it. It's like now the first episode in the context of these next three.
Yeah,
it's just all its own animal, and it's like, imagine when we are at episode 50 or 60, 70, 80, the amount of context that's going to be there, the amount of change and evolution that's going to happen. That's exactly what applies to art, and that's the way I view what I do now. Because I used to be so caught up on not being where I want to be or thinking where I should be, that I would just scrap many things as opposed to finish them. And, and I think about how many things I could have be sitting on now if I had just done them. Regardless of how good they are necessarily, I would have a body of work I can look back on and actually physically see my evolution. Even though now, because I think about these things all the time and I consciously look at my evolution and things like that, and the perspective I have on now, on just my life in general. It's like, like even now, I wouldn't say my head's in the best place. Like, I've just been focusing on getting my head in the right place. Like, there's been a big part for me, and not just in terms of emotionally or etc., but just things within the way of when I'm working, how do I operate? What things should I be thinking about in terms of things like project management and how I plan my life, and just the conservation of energy on the things I think about, and thinking more efficiently. like not getting caught up on certain thoughts and ideas and letting that, allowing that to make me stumble when I'm in the process of doing things, because I'm caught up on something that happened before and haven't rectified that, and haven't consolidated those things.
Yeah, like there's obviously like because well, we live in two different mind spaces. Obviously, like it's like like the only thing that constrain me are the people closest to me, and aside from that, it's like I think about. Well, actually, I don't think about anything else. I'm really of a certain ilk that makes sure that if the people around me are good, then my work is the best work that it can possibly be. Only because of that. But it's just fun. Like, I just love being able to be myself. Like, because at the end of the day, I am living in luxury. Yeah, like this month, not month, yes, month, but this year has been traumatic. It has been like a terrifying year, and I could have let that crush me. However, all things considered, I battled and decided to change and evolve and better myself, all for the pursuit of the greatness of my art. And that is it. Like, and then that comes about when I think about how I'm focusing, because that was the thing that stayed out to me, is like, how focused in the moment can you be? And what I do to focus, and what I do for pure focus. Like me, I'm I have this weird way of staying focused, but no one can just do that. It's not weird. It's like it's really strict, and it happens in like 2.3 seconds. It happens very quickly, let's say, and I can get focused immediately on a certain thing, and then I can be present, and that's only because. Not only that I've been through trauma, but because of how much stuff I've learned, and then what my principles were growing up, and everything that had to be aligned for this particular moment to even happen. And and all of those things I'm grateful for, because just being present without the need of having to think about certain things means luxury to me. Because if we were thinking about, let's say, where we're getting our next meal from, that's torment. Like, if we're thinking about how, if me and you were so stuck on what type of car we were driving, that's torment. What other people thought about us and how much money we were making, that's torment. Like, why would you torture yourself for other people? And being able to withdraw from that, and not just withdraw, say you're not playing that game anymore, and just living alongside of that game, not even alongside, but you see that game in a window, and you understand that game, and you're thoughtful to that game, but you're not in it, and that's a luxury. Luxury to be able, like, there's a luxury in being able to remove yourself, because there's some people who aren't artists, who don't think outside the box, who have to live that way, that can't do that at all. Like, there's certain people who are my age, older and younger, that can't even articulate like I can, or communicate like I can, and I'm one to have been known to be a terrible communicator. So it's not like it can't be learned, it's one of those things that I've worked on because of my art ethic and my art philosophy, is to be a great communicator. So I had to do certain things. And because communication is one of the highest orders in art, then that enabled me to just pursue it purely in its like original forms, with whether that be imagery, video, or written word, well, are now spoken word. So yeah, fam.
Well, I think that's the end.
Oh, you want to talk about something else, huh? Or do you just want to get? Yeah, fam. Like, because you were talking about other artists and that, innit? So you said you wanted to have a conversation about that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, that's left me.
Segway King. But yeah, you want me to
What
segue?
I want to ask you about that.
Well, considering
we was talking about Beyonce,
like just the artists that are contemporary to the old school.
Sick. Yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit though, because it's like Lucky Day's an interesting example. It's like clearly talented, still draws from like sort of certain influences of like modern times, just like the way the beats are.
You can listen to him and know
even
that.
The R&B, it gives me a little bit of her kind of vibes, like, and I'd say she's more so like she makes great music, but she's more so within the pop sort of sphere, pop lane, where I feel like Lucky Day is a little bit more.
You think she's more pop than Lucky Day?
I think so, yeah.
Lucky Day is disco.
Would you say it's disco?
And funk, yeah. Like he's...
Yeah, okay, I could see that. Funk, definitely.
And it's like...
Funk, and soul.
Yeah, and her is like soul...
R&B.
And R&B and those elements there. Like she kind of is going in a little bit of a blues direction, only with her last performance with YBN Corday. But just knowing her catalogue, it's like she has that little neo-funk vibe with certain songs, but then she hits us over the head with the R&B and just her tone and what she's speaking about, even though, like, because this is the funny thing, she's so young.
How old is she? She's 23, is she? It's 24, 23, is she?
I don't even think that she's 21. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure she is.
Let's check. Because I'm not really like when I think about her, I think like her as like, because I seen her old videos when she was a kid, and I think she's met Prince and she was playing bare instruments, and she's been on TV and she grew up away from TV, and I think of her male contemporary Stroll and how he's trying to evolve as well, and just like seeing the different types of music that they make. Yeah, she's 22 years old. So it's like, ooh. So, ooh. Yeah, so with, and see, that's now.
She's someone who's going to be making classics easily.
She literally just turned 22.
Whoa.
Like a month ago. So yeah. So last year when her Volume 1 and Volume 2 came out and all of that stuff. So
mate, powerful. So when you put it in that perspective, like, whoa, she's unbelievably talented. Wow. Like,
yeah, they've been saying that for like 12, 15 years now or something like that. Well, 12 years. Yeah.
How old is SZA? She's older, isn't it? Mm-hmm. She's like 26, 27, ain't she?
And she's older than that.
Boy. Oh, she's like 30s.
No, let's check.
Hitting? Actually, because I think I remember hearing that.
What? That SZA's 30. She's 28. And Kendrick Lamar's 32. Cardi B's 26.
Flipping hell. Her is...
But yeah, like,
oh, she's 22! Mad.
So yeah, when you think about when Volume 1 had to have come out, or what age she was when Volume 1 came out and all of that stuff, like, because I knew who she was straight away, and I just had to...
Because what do you think is the, like... Do you think with someone like her, it's just her, like, she lets her talent speak for itself and that's it? It's like what is it that you get from her? What? Because it's not like, although like she makes great music and she's talented, but it's like you're saying, the conversations about love and heartbreak and these things are done so much. Like, what is it that, do you think she's still going through that journey of finding her most authentic self?
Yes, like she has a circus of talent, and when I think of myself at that age, it's like just seeing how great you can actually be. Like, she plays live instruments while she sings. Like, and she doesn't just play one instrument, she plays a lot of them. So she can be on a piano in one performance, and then she can be on an oboe in the next performance. It's like, wow, even what was it? Was it cello? Like, it was a...
I don't know. What?
It's like she can play instruments, basically. So it's like she has a circus of talent, and it's like, how far does that go? Like, and she's not just seeing how far it can go by herself. She's doing it in front of everybody else. So it's like, it's one of those ones where it's like, wow, she's growing up right before our eyes, and because I've thought about this before when it comes to me, it's like, what would I be like? Because it's the same thing with Chris Brown as well. Like, he's got a circus of talent, but it's one of those ways where it's like, how far does it go, and how much can you extend yourself, and have you found the end? Like, and can you even find the end? Because you know exactly where you're drawing from. And because my thing is articulation, I had to discover words and ways of thinking, and not other philosophies that have been floating around for millennia, but my own understanding of the way the world works, because I can't run off another person's way of thinking. And a lot of that is unfortunate, because it takes a lot of time to build all of that stuff up. And me being able to articulate in this way is contemporary to the times. So it's like you take the good with the bad. Because I've taken so long learning to articulate since I was 22, I've been able to grow up and understand all of these other things. So when I when I talk about Virgil Abloh and how that works contemporarily, and how we've been vilified for wearing hoodies and fit in the description and routine checks and all of these other things, and now it's a high fashion item, like, that's an understanding of the contemporary philosophy of the time. So it's like, how far does that, like, because I'm still searching how far that goes. How far does not my understanding, but the way that I can do that thing, how far does that go? And when it comes to musical talent, there's almost no end to it, because
What do you mean, individually?
Pardon?
Individually, or music as an art form?
Music as an art form. Like, what her can say is all she can say. She's, like, I don't think her parents were, like, broke or poor by any means.
She only has so much of a story, yeah.
So it's like...
Well, she was a Disney kid, wasn't she?
It's like, understanding that her story is so in front of us.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you my story, and there's other people that can tell you about me, but at the end of the day, it's like...
That's the hardest
it's like,
thing.
And then we speak about music, and who's exactly going to relate to what she speaks about, and how far does that go, and what can she do to transform that? And that's just her hurdles to go through.
It is so unfortunate that the times are...
The times are what? In luxury?
Yeah, well, it's not unfortunate that the times are in luxury. That's not what I mean. But it's unfortunate that the greatest art almost inherently is made in the worst of times, because of the impact it has on people, and even the people who are creating music, how much the sort of the turmoil and the overcoming of terribly bad situations influences art to make it so breathtaking. But then it means when things are like this, it just means we're not necessarily, it's not that it's impossible for that to happen, but we're not necessarily going to get art that speaks to you in the same way, just naturally, because the reason why that art was so great before was because it was coming from a real expression of actual like pain, and not even just the expression of it. It's almost what it took to make that kind of, to make music to that level anyway, the things you did have to overcome. So once you're reaching that, it's just, it kind of weeded out the ones that weren't the best of the best, almost, you know?
Yes, like, here's how I see it when it comes to just speaking. Like, because I've almost separated it in a way where it's not just music, it's the translating and recording of history, because that's what we do. We are recording history in the time as we live it. So when we speak about the 60s and the 40s and the 30s, it's like they were recording a certain type of living situation. Like when we're speaking about American talent, because we're speaking a lot about American talent, but it also happened in Nigeria. Like, because, and this is mainly the point. It's like although I can speak about all of the stuff that went on in Nigeria, and I know my history, and I know all the artists out there, it doesn't speak to anyone because they have no clue or understanding of those contemporaries in Nigeria. Like, I can only speak to people about Fela Kuti, and then the list kind of just drops off dramatically. He's like the one person that probably most people know, and it's like Bob Marley from Jamaica as well. It's like, you probably know Bob, and then Damien, and like maybe Elephant Man, and then like the list kind of starts falling off, and it's like you don't know a great host of real, well, I said Elephant Man, but you don't know a great host of real reggae artists. Like, you don't know, like, maybe because of DJ Khaled, you know, Buju Banton and all of that stuff, but it's like, you're not just recording history, you're telling the story of the people that lives in that time. So that's why it hits. Like, when you're going through your first love and then you're listening to Adele's first album or something, or you're going through your first heartbreak and listen to Adele's first album, and it's like, it changes you in a certain type of way. Like, when you're 20, when you're in your 20s, and or you're going through depression, let's say, and then you're listening to XXXTentacion, and then it's like, he's going through what I'm going through. And he's translating that, and he's recording history, and that's why his albums are classics, not because of anything else apart from the fact that there are people who also lived that life that he lived.
So do you think then?
And he recorded that history. Well, he was his personal history as an artist. It wasn't even the history of the land. It was his own personal art, and that's where it changes.
So, but that's what I mean. Do you think then?
If XXXTentacion wrote for her, oh my god, that would be so sick. But yeah, carry on, sorry.
Do you think, because some people would argue that, it's not even that they're like, but it's like comparing him to, because when people say music nowadays is just not as good as it was, because that's basically what this conversation kind of is.
Is it?
Well, it's not that's what it is, but that's kind
art.
of. Well, yeah,
period.
Art now
period.
Isn't as good.
Because when I say music, we're speaking music because everybody understands music. If we was like, we could literally speak about all of the painters that I know right now, but that's not going to go anywhere with anyone.
If we're saying art now isn't as good
movies
as it
even
was,
yeah,
is that just because of the yardstick we've got to measure against, or is it because of we just aren't experienced, our experiences aren't from the art that's being created now, so we can't see it in the same way? We're not experiencing current artists in the same way that we experienced artists before.
Last century was the formulating of the institutions that were black music and white Hollywood. And this century, we are consolidating all of those things and trying to open the barriers of entry. And that's why we don't need a studio to make a podcast. Like, we don't need to go through communications at university, then intern, then get a weird slot at a radio station, and then get 1 hour to DJ, and then be a early morning radio host, or a work shift radio host. It's like we can communicate with this, and everything is going to consolidate. And that's why music is cheaper to make technically, but the cost of art is not. The cost of art is still high. You pay a high price to be a great artist, regardless, in any century, any millennia, whatever it is. Like, who's it that died? Was it? Socrates died for his words. The Defense of Socrates. You read that one?
No, I actually haven't.
Okay, so that is great art. Like, well, Socrates obviously didn't write it, but Socrates died for his art, and then his student, was it Plato?
Plato, I feel like it was.
Why am I getting my history wrong? Because I haven't studied these in like 3-4 years.
Wait, who is
now.
this? Plato, Socrates. One more.
Do I have it over there? I have it over there. But what's the point is, no matter whatever the millennia is, it's like great art pays a price, and the price sometimes is death. That is the point. The point is the price is sometimes death, and a lot of people.
It's Plato, yes.
Yeah, a lot of people today are not willing to pay that price. That is the luxury of life. You don't want to die for your art. There's a lot of people that have killed themselves for their art. This is what I talk about in The Pain of Passion. It's like, I'm giving you my pain, and you don't know how much it hurts to even write about certain things. Like, there's certain songs certain artists make that resonate so totally with the audience, but they can't even perform that song because they'll just burst into tears every single time. So it's like, you don't know the pain. Like, when I wrote this book, the pain that I go through reading and rereading so that I can get my punctuation right and my grammar right for all of these people that are probably not going to read it to the... Like, if you love art, you might love my book. But the point of writing it was not so people can read it. It's so that I can let it go. Anyways, a lot of people died for their ability to speak. And then a lot of people were not even short of this year and last year where drill artists, quote unquote, the police have taken down their videos from YouTube because they are speaking about their life that they're living.
Yeah. It's kind of messed up, that, actually.
And they're not allowed their freedom of speech because it's inciting violence. And see how many times that argument has been made for black music. So it's like, we're even still fighting for the freedom to speak. But what is the price that you're willing to pay? Is it nobody ever seeing your face when you perform these songs?
Do you think there's this way you can simulate that?
Simulate what? Death?
Yeah. Well, it's not, well...
Cost. The cost is high. Like, I carry the scars every single day of my trauma. I carry the scars of the people who have died beside me in the hospital. Like, the real, like, being really real. Like, I've been there when someone died and, like, they evacuate all of their bowels and it's like they're gone. The light leaves their body. and then they have to be wheeled out, and just never that person's never gonna exist ever again. Like, I've lived that. That is. I'm not gonna cry, I swear to God, but I've lived that, and there's no way that you can simulate that. I'm gonna cry. Fuck. Oh my God. There's no way that you can simulate that at all. Fuck. Oh man. Oh. So yeah, it's like the price has been paid already. Years of trauma. Yeah. And that's just in the hospital. That's not even like outside on road. Like, so.
Yeah, obviously it makes sense. It's almost obvious when you just think about it logically. It's like, at the end of the day, that's kind of this conversation we're having about the authenticity of speaking and creating with who you are in mind and the things that have happened to you and telling your story. Like, that's what it is. It's telling your own story or a story you've resonated or something you've experienced. But I guess that's what I'm saying when art is almost, when things are as good as they are at the moment, art is almost, well, depending on your story anyway. Just because things are generally good doesn't mean you don't have pain to exhibit. It's almost to what extent are you able to reach in a place where you have so much opportunity. And
listen, it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be pain. Like, there's
it can be
like Songs in the Key of Life is a immense example of something whereby Stevie Wonder, one, you can't even see, but he's talking about the joys of having his daughter. I want to remember what song that is. Songs. Like, because I told you that I shared that song with you.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what it was. We was talking about.
Was it not? It's not Knock Me Off My Feet. Is it I Wish? It's not Pastime Paradise. No, it's Isn't She Lovely? That's his song, and then like there's other songs as well, and there's as like all of these beautiful songs come from joy, regardless of like maybe the trauma that he's been a part of, he's lived through. Is it trauma? Yeah, the trauma of not being able to see your own daughter ever in life. It's like, at the same time, you can talk about the joys of having one. Like, even though he can't see, he sees in the place in his mind where all things exist. And that is the point. He can see that thing, and even though he can only feel and touch it, he is able to convey that message so greatly, and some people feel like all they need to speak about is the girls that they're gonna steal from you, or the car that they're driving, or how much money they're making, when sometimes I'm living in a great world whereby I don't have to deal with people shooting at my window. Some people can, like, you can speak about your parents still being together. I've never heard that perspective before. Who's willing to offer that perspective? Like, who's willing to offer the perspective of, I just want to be with someone that I can see I can see myself spending the rest of my life with. Like when Chance the Rapper was like, I made my baby mama my missus, or I made my baby mama my wife, something like that, in one of his tunes. That was a great song. Like, and it's not a sad song. It's like he once had a bad relationship with his baby mum, and then now he's got a great relationship with her to the point where they're now married. And he's making an immense amount of money, and his songs are so gracious and grateful. So it's not about the trauma sometimes.
So then it's got to be the barrier to entry then. That's probably
It's like what are you allowing
that's
yourself to live and see? It's like if you're allowing yourself to see something that is gracious and humble and loving, then that is what you're gonna convey. It's like maybe you're not that type of artist. Maybe you're just not that level yet, that you can just talk about the things that are great in your life. Maybe it doesn't even occur to you that things can be like you can talk about you actually not to pick on that kid, but maybe you can just talk about being a geek but still having fun with your friends. Like you can still talk about riding your bikes, and like there's this one song that I have where it's like, that night where like last summer where we were coming back from that, I think it was Mickey Rose's performance, shout out Mickey, and then we were just having like chips in Lewisham and that, and with strawberry and Miranda, and like it's just one of those cool times where it's like you're with your boys, you're having fun. It was a great night. The sun's rising.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything complex.
Yeah, it's at 4:00 in Lewisham. It's like
Well,
everyone can relate to that. Everyone can relate. I don't have any money, but I've got a full oyster and I've got my boys. We're gonna have a great day around London. Like, who's not gonna relate to that? What gang of guys, like obviously gang being a colloquial, but what group of boys aren't gonna relate to that? You don't need to tell me about.
So it's got to be the barrier to entry, then, isn't it? It's like how. It's
your caliber of, like, if they're not a good caliber artist, then they're not gonna care.
But you're saying that, but there's people who, yeah, and again, not to pick on that little boy. I wouldn't say he's a very high caliber of artist, but, and yeah, okay, fair enough, he's having his moment.
Like Chance the Rapper's dad is like a aide to politicians. Like he helped Barack Obama. Like Chance the Rapper didn't grow up like dead, poor and broke. Neither did Jaden Smith. Probably one of the richest, freest black men now in the world. Like, well, in our contemporary times. And he's helping out Flip Michigan with water. He's got his own tech company. And he's talking about the joy, like, and he's shedding a light, like in his first album, he shed a light on the injustices that were going around the world. Well, not around the world, but in America, I should say. And that still resonated with me. And Jaden Smith was what? I don't even know whether he was 20 when he wrote that. I think he was 19. So it's not like you have to be dead, poor and broke. You don't have to almost die to make great music to me. You just have to be a great artist. You have to have substance. And it has to be real. And it has to come from a place like, of course, there are boys that look like Jaden Smith in America that are going through injustices, just like me, where I put myself in Trayvon Martin's shoes and it's like, wow, that can be anyone. And it's like, I've lived this. So it's like, the direct form of communication for those people. It's like, you just got to be able to communicate your message. And this is what I said about being you. Like, who am I?
That's it. That's the
barrier to entry. Yeah. It's like, how much do you know yourself?
But it's not the barrier to entry, because
how much do you know yourself is the barrier to entry.
Well, it's that's probably the barrier to entry of making
anything. If you don't know yourself,
it's literally not, because there's people who are being able to create, and
there are people who are lost that make really great work. Is that what you're saying?
But it's like it's not even about, because what we're talking about isn't about great work. Like, specifically, we wasn't just talking about great work. We was, but it was kind of like in between of what is it that people currently are getting noticed for what they do, and what are people holding to the highest regard. I guess that's always going to be the masses, though, isn't it, really? Like, the masses are going to essentially like the simplest things of what's culturally perceived as cool, interesting or funny at that specific time.
What do you mean?
Because the things that decades later people are going to go, oh, that was really cool, is the stuff that sort of
Icon will be the song of the decade by Jaden Smith.
Will be the song of the decade. Interesting.
Icon will be the song of the decade.
Really?
I don't know whether you can name 10, like, because you talk about simplicity and all of that stuff, and it's like, okay, first of all, this decade has not been my favorite decade for any type of creativity. Next decade will be, like, because we're in control next decade, I see it being one of the greatest, most fruitful decades of anything that has been ever created. But right now in this decade, those people who haven't been authentically themselves are going to be washed away, and they've already been washed away. Like, those people 3-4 years ago that weren't the greatest, like, they're not around now. They can't pack out stadiums and all of these other things. They're doing other things now. But those that are true stay. Like Offset, he made something true to his family, and he stays. Offset is now the best rapper in the Migos, technically, because he had an album that resonated. And it wasn't just about the money, girls, and the cars. It was about introspection, starting a family with Cardi, and being, father of four or something like that, and having all of these kids that he has to raise and wanting his dad, and, like, what are we really talking about here? This is like, that is a code. It's like, you know yourself, you share yourself, and people gravitate towards you.
And that's
Cardi B knows
and
herself.
that's the definition.
She shared herself, and people gravitated towards her. Jaden Smith knows himself. He shared himself, and people gravitated towards him. That is literally the code to being a great artist. That is literally the code.
Cardi B got her. Didn't she get a lot of her stuff written for her? I swear.
Are you like, literally?
Because that's what are we defining it by then? Because if it's just the message, then
did Beyonce have the brown skinned girl song written for her? Like, Drake, did he? Like, are we gonna now start contending?
No. But that's like, why I'm saying it's like what
that if we're gonna go by canon or whatever the rumors are, it's like,
because is it kind of like how we were speaking about
Jesus
sponsorships?
walks.
We talk about sponsorships. It's like, yeah, okay, you didn't make that product; those people are paying you, but if that product that is sponsoring you is completely and entirely within your...
Okay, wait, which one you talk about? Cardi B writing, or...
Well, this is what I'm saying. Is it reviewing the way she's picking and selecting a song that she's going to rap about in the same way? Like, even though she didn't write that, that's not hers, but that's still going to be her product that she uses to make the money at the end of the day, because she's picked that because of how much it correlates, how congruent it is with her personal beliefs and message, even though she didn't write it.
What?
Those words.
I don't understand your argument. Like, if we're talking about artists having to write their things, or either are we talking about artists having to write their work, or artists having to communicate a proper message? Because
that's what
Cardi B
it's
was,
just because how we
Cardi
was
B
talking
was
about
herself.
What's his name? That
before,
other guy. That
Cardi
other guy.
B,
We was using him as an example.
I'm not gonna pick on him anymore, because he has no idea of the codes or what he's doing. He is a kid that wants to make money. That's cute. That's cool. Now the codes are: you are yourself. You share yourself. People will gravitate towards you. That is the codes. That's being an artist. You know yourself. You share yourself. People gravitate to. That is the simplest way I can say it in any regard.
Okay. Well, it'd be cool to talk about more stuff, but we're literally 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Hey. So. Yo, this has been the Culture and Camaraderie podcast, episode 4.
Episode
4 deep. And look at this. I cried, I laughed, and we spoke about a lot of things. And I enjoyed this conversation, although, my heart is still melting. but the show must go on. Anyways, this has been NY Typical, and
Laxera Tyler on Instagram at Laxera. Probably already know by now.
But yeah, this is us. It's NY Typical everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And NYTypical, nytypical.net for my website. You can check out all my essays and things there. You feel me? Anyway.
Stay tuned. Love.
I love you guys. This is amazing. Let's keep going. Peace. 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 Peace.